Well, while I'm doing some potting up here, another thing that I want to do is repot some little trees that I've started and get these in a little bit larger growing area. You know, last fall, we talked briefly on Oklahoma Gardening about collecting some seeds from woody plants and shrubs out in the woods and in the landscape and starting your own seeds. We talked about dogwood and redbud and soapberry and magnolia and some others, gave you some instructions on how to collect those seeds, how to stratify them or scarify them to break that dormancy and get these started. Well, these are some dogwood that we used on Oklahoma Gardening that day, and I went ahead and stratified these dogwood seed and then planted them, and I've gotten a really good stand of little dogwood plants here. But what I need to do is get these into a larger pot so they can get a little bit more growth on them. And when I'm doing that, I don't want to use just an ordinary soil mix on that or a potting mix. I need something a little bit heavier. So what I like to do is make my own mix of about equal parts of sand, good garden soil, and some sort of an organic matter. In this case, I'm using compost. You may want to use well-rotted or dehydrated manure for your organic matter source, or you may want to use peat moss if the other sources are not available. But about equal volumes of each of these will give us a real good potting mix for these trees and shrub plants that you may have already started. The organic matter gives us a little bit of water holding capacity in the soil, as well as adding to the drainage in the soil mix. The sand also adds some drainage capabilities to the mix. It also holds it open so perhaps it would not pack nearly as easily. And then of course the soil will give us a little bit of nutrients and some stability to these other additives in that soil mix. Be sure this is mixed up very well. This makes it also an excellent soil mix if you have any type of a woody plant or shrub that you want to pot up. Perhaps you've got some little seedlings growing already in your landscaped area or in a neighbor's yard that has offered you some. You may want to dig these up and go ahead and get these started in some pots to set out later for your landscape. But I don't want to pot these little dogwood that I've got up in too large of a container right now, because I certainly don't want that soil ball around there to be overwhelming to the few small roots that we have in there. This will lead to excessive water holding capacity in the soil mix and may actually cause us some problems later on as far as getting a good root system started. Whether I'm going to put them in just a slightly larger pot at this time, and then later on, probably in about 6 weeks or so, I may want to come in and pot these up again in still a larger container. When I'm repotting these, I'm going to try to keep them at about the same depth that they were in the original container where I planted my seeds. Again, I want to keep these in a warm, somewhat protected location where they do get some sun, but maybe filtered sun, until they get a little bit larger, and then I can take them out in maybe some brighter sun and grow those on out as a very nice plant.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.